Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the channel. Please subscribe with notifications on.
What is up? What's up? How's everybody doing? Let's see who's up at this hour. Let's talk a little bit of late night 49er football. Let's get this party started. Let's see here. Oh, hold on, guys. Let's go. Let's see who's up at this hour. It is late. It is about 10 minutes to 1 in the morning Pacific Standard Time. I wanted to see who's up. I know a lot of times a lot of Niner fans are not here within the United States. They are overseas. And a lot of times they cannot watch my show when I go early because they're not awake. So let's see who comes on here and let's see who wants to talk 49er football. And let's see if anybody comes on. I'm curious to see who it's an night owl like me and who wants to talk 49er football at this hour. Let's see if anybody comes in or if I'm going to talk to myself for the next 10, 15 minutes. If nobody comes in, look at all the hairs on my dog. My dog can shed hairs, man. And I don't know if you guys can see it or not through the camera, but not a pretty sight. Drinking some water with lemon. Oh, good. Let's see who is available to come on. Let's go ahead and make sure to wipe your feet before entering and smash that like button for your boy. Niner Sickness, show me some love. Who do you guys want to sign in free agency? Which players out there are you guys interested in bringing in? Now, I know we want to sign our own free agents. I know that's important. We want to sign in DJ Jones. We want to sign back Arden Key, Lincoln Tomlinson. I understand we want to bring our guys back first, but let's say we signed all our players back and we went out for someone out in the free agent. Who do you think the Niners should sign? Should they sign a big free agent or should they sign a piece that can complement the roster, especially in the secondary? Do you think they should focus in the secondary? Do you think they should focus in a pass rusher to complement Nick Bosa? Now, when they brought in last year, the kid from the Rams, he had a better year towards the end. I think he had like 5.5 sacks, but he really did not turn out the way that the Niners anticipated he would he would turn out. And unfortunately, they didn't sign the kid that went to Carolina. Reddick, the linebacker from the Cardinals, they could have signed him. Instead, they went with Sampson, and it didn't pay off because the kid from the Cardinals that went to the Panthers, man, that kid had a phenomenal year. And he did not cost that much more than what we pay Sampson. So sometimes there's a hit and miss when you go after free agents. This is why a lot of teams rather build through the draft than necessarily building through the free agents. But do you think, is there a pass rusher out there that you guys feel they can be a complementary piece to Nick Bosa that is not on the team already? Or are you guys comfortable with Charlie, the kid that we picked up from the Houston Texans? Do you think he'll develop more this year and eventually be that complementary piece to Nick Bosa? Because we know that Dee Ford is going to retire. I just don't see Dee Ford coming back. I think Dee Ford is a player of the past, and he's retiring. So the Niners really need to focus on who are they going to bring in to complement Nick Bosa. Now, I understand a lot of us, we say secondary. We need secondary help. And we do. We definitely need secondary help. But we have Emory Thomas that has really stepped up towards the end of the year. We have Emmanuel Mosley. Most likely, we're going to bring Jason Verrett back on a friendly contract. I just don't see Jason Verrett, after having his season injury, going elsewhere. Remember, in 2019, in 2020, he had his best season. And yet we were able to bring him back on a friendly contract in 2021. Unfortunately for him, he got hurt the first game of the year. So I expect the Niners to be able to bring Jason Verrett back on a friendly contract. So you have Jason Verrett, you have Emmanuel Mosley, you have Emory Thomas, you have Lenore in the slot in case we don't bring back K'Wan Williams. Maybe we bring back Dante Johnson. He wasn't that bad this year. So even though we will add more pieces in the draft towards corners, if there's available defensive end that can complement the Niners, who would you guys rather take? Let me see who out there is available on the market. Defensive ends, free agents in 2022. And let's see who's available. All right, let's see here. Who is available on here defensively? Now we don't want to look at receivers. We want to look at defense in particularly. So let's see here. Who could be available for us? And when I say for us, I'm talking about within our price range. I don't think the Niners are really going to go crazy out there and spend a lot of money on a free agent, especially when we have Debo and we have our own guy, Nick Bosa, waiting to get paid. That wouldn't make no sense, right? So there's Chandler Jones available. There's Von Miller from the Los Angeles Rams, the Super Bowl Los Angeles Rams. There is, let's see here. Now, I also like the safety, Marcus Williams from the New Orleans Saints. He's going to be a free agent. But maybe he's not physical enough, though. Maybe he's not that physical. So I'm curious. This is just late conversation. I'm not saying the Niners are going to pursue anybody in the free agency. I'm not saying. I'm just making conversation for the sake of a late night talk show. Javon Clowney is available from the Browns, although he wasn't too effective. You got Randy Gregory from the Dallas Cowboys. Now, he might be a little expensive. So, most importantly, the Niners need to sign their own players. But I do think the Niners need to bring in a complimentary pass rusher to help out Nick Bosa. Now, a lot of people say, you know what? We need secondary help. But I think a great pass rush complements the secondary. As though the secondary will complement the pass rush. But I think if we can truly put pressure on both sides of that defense on a quarterback, and then Javon Kinlaw would be coming back healthy with Eric Armstead in the middle. Imagine Nick Bosa, Javon Kinlaw, Eric Armstead, and someone that we bring in like a Chandler Jones. They can complement Nick Bosa on the outside. That would help out Embry Thomas. I think that would help out Emmanuel Mosley or Jason Verrett. So, ideally, I think the Niners will go probably secondary in the draft and develop corners as they have been this year. But I think as a pass, and I'm not saying they are not going to go pass rusher in the draft, but I think that ideally the Niners are going to look to see if they can bring someone in free agencies to help out in the pass rush and then kind of focus in the secondary and offensive line in the draft. And that's an area that I think the Niners would go. But again, I don't see the Niners spending that much money. Remember, they're starting off with, I forgot how much they're starting off with, but they're not starting off with that much money this year. I got to look at over the cap. Although the salary goes up, but you got, now we're going to save money when we get rid of Garoppolo. This is another reason why Garoppolo won't be back, because we need to utilize his money and we need to get trade capital for him. What's going on, Don? How you doing, brother? How you doing? You're up late with me, huh? We need another quarterback to back up Trey. Now, that's something that we're going to talk about too in future podcasts. I think with hiring Anthony Lynn to the staff, that probably is going to help us out and bringing in someone like Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor, is that his name? I think he'll be a complimentary backup to the young Trey Lance and help him out. I think that'll be a good backup quarterback. But we definitely going to need a quarterback to help out the young man. I don't think we want to go with the guy that we have now. But tonight is kind of just on the defensive side. Who do you think, Don, we should go for in defensively in free agent? Now, keep in mind, this is stating that we signed back our returning players. Like, let's say we bring back DJ Jones, we bring back Arden Key, we bring back Lincoln Tomlinson. Once we sign them, because I don't want to talk about no free agents, honestly, until we sign our own. But just for the sake of conversation, let's say we took care of our own. Who do you want to see the Niners go after? A corner or a defensive end for the Niners? What need do you think is greater? Because, like I said, Everett Thomas is becoming his own. He's going to get better. You got Emmanuel Mosley. But you're also going to probably bring back Jason Verrett on a free yearly contract. So He'll be there. We need some corners. Okay. Now, if we can't put pressure on the quarterback, receivers eventually are going to get open, right? So I was thinking ideally, we pursue a defensive end in free agency and then focus on a few corners in the draft. Or if people feel more confident in bringing in a more established corner in free agency and then bring in a pass rusher in the draft, we can do that as well. But I think both of those spots are going to need to be addressed in this year's draft and free agency. I've been hearing a lot of people talk about our offensive line. I think that we do need to bring in a center, but I think that the two areas that the Niners really need to address is secondary and pass rush. They need to bring someone that can complement Nick Bosa. The D Ford situation's over. He's moving on. I don't see D Ford ever playing football again, unfortunately. Now, a lot of people were upset and said that the Niners make the worst free agent acquisition in bringing in D Ford. And I want to defend D Ford for a second. And I also want to defend the Niners. When the Niners traded for D Ford had just had his best season in 2018. And he was coming off his best season, and we got him for a great price, okay? It was a great trade value for him. Unfortunately, you can't predict injuries. So it's not like D Ford fell off. He wasn't as productive. He's healthy. He wasn't just productive. He wasn't producing. He got injured. And unfortunately, when you injure your back, it's hard to recover. So, the D Ford, in my opinion, wasn't a bad free agent signing. It was just, unfortunately, it didn't work out for us the way that we planned it to. You can't blame injuries. Oops, wrong button. Let's see here. We keep getting burned. Okay, referring to the secondary. Well, in reality, we went a lot with, what's his name? Josh Norman. I mean, Jesus. You have him in the secondary, you're going to get burned. But I think a second year, Ambry Thomas and Emmanuel Mosley and Jason Verrett. Imagine Jason Verrett and Ambry Thomas locking it down. And then you have Ambry Thomas coming in rotation. Emmanuel Mosley coming in rotation. That's pretty good. I think it's just because we lost Jason Verrett this year that it hurt us. It hurt us a lot. Let's see here. What can we get for Jimmy? I think is what you meant to say, Don. That is an interesting question, in my opinion, Don, because it's not about what Jimmy is worth in this offseason. It is going to be more about the need of that position to certain teams. Especially if Russell Wilson doesn't decide to move anywhere. He stays put with the Seahawks. Then you got Aaron Rodgers that decides that he wants to stay put with the Packers because he's established at this point of it in his career. Now, if they lose Dante Adams, that's going to, I don't know. We have to wait. We really have to wait to see what happens with Aaron Rodgers and Deshaun Watson. Based on what happened with those two individuals, will determine the need for Jimmy G. If Aaron Rodgers and Deshaun Watson are available, in my opinion, Jimmy's value goes down. It does. It goes down. But if Rodgers decides to stay with the Packers and Deshaun Watson doesn't get moved around, now, all of a sudden, you have a great market for an established quarterback like Jimmy. Jimmy makes his mistakes. Jimmy throws his interceptions. Yes, we know this. But Jimmy also wins games. Jimmy also takes teams like the 49ers to 2 NFC championship games and 1 Super Bowl. So the market for potential quarterbacks like Jimmy is going to be out there. So is somebody willing to give us a number 1? Now, you got to look at the teams that need a quarterback. You got to look how bad their quarterback play is. Then you got to look at where they're sitting with a number 1. See, a lot of people have been talking about how the Washington Commanders, somebody said about they may be willing to give up the number 1. But do you think for a minute, let's keep it 100% real. Do you think for a minute that the Commanders are going to give up their 11th spot to the Niners for Jimmy G? Do you think they're going to give up? They're picking at number 11, if I'm not mistaken. Do you honestly think that they're going to give up their 11th pick overall in the first round for Jimmy? That is ludicrous. That is ludicrous. Now, if we trade Jimmy and another player, perhaps now we can be in a discussion for the 11th spot in the first round, because the Washington Commanders, they do need a quarterback. They would benefit from someone like Jimmy G on their roster. But they're not going to be willing to part way from their 11th overall pick in the first round just for Jimmy. So now you have to ask yourself, who else are the Niners willing to send over to the Commanders? With a package of Jimmy and Dre Greenlaw, maybe? Or a package of Jimmy G and maybe George Kittle for their 11th overall pick? Because if people think that the Niners are going to get the Washington 11th overall pick just for Jimmy G, you gotta, the good stuff, you gotta put it away. You really do. Now, if the Niners package Jimmy G and a George Kittle, or Jimmy G and a Dre Greenlaw, or Jimmy G and a Aziz over to the Washington Commanders for their 11th, maybe then that becomes a possibility. Mariah, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. I'm doing a late night stream. Little bit bored. The wife is in her office. She's like, leave me alone. So I coming on here talk a little 49er football. But I wanted to discuss the possibilities of where Jimmy G would end up and what would the trade value be worth for Jimmy. Would it be based on his performance, or would it be based on the need of the particular team looking for a quarterback that will pay a ransom for a quarterback like Jimmy? I just don't think that it can be as rich as the 11th overall pick in the first round for Jimmy. Maybe a second round with a possible third round next year, I can see happening for Jimmy. I just would think that we would have to package Jimmy with someone else to get for to get the first overall pick. I'm doing great, just relaxing. I am retired, so I'm a night owl. I'm always up late. I'm a night owl, sleeping during the day, up at night, living the retired life. Um, I'm an old man, so um, I decided to go live for a little bit. Probably won't be long. So you work nights. I used to work the graveyard shift. I did the graveyard shift for about 4 years straight. And I was in my 20s though. I was in my I was in my 20s when I worked 4 years straight graveyard, and it was an adjustment, man. It wasn't easy. It definitely wasn't easy. Somebody told me to put foil on my windows because the sun would come in and it disrupted my sleep during the day. Now I'm used to sleeping during the day, but back then, if I woke up, I wouldn't sleep very well. And I did that. What I wasn't told was to make sure that I got an alarm that had the AM and PM on there. And this is way before the smartphones. We didn't have smartphones back then. So we went with the alarm clocks that you put on your dresser. And I remember I had one with a very small AM and PM on there, and then I put the aluminum foil. So I woke up and it said that it was like, I forgot what time it was, but it was like supposed to be like 3 hours past the time that I started at work, and I was freaking out because it was dark in my. I think I started work at 11 o'clock at night, and it was like 2:30 in the morning. But I thought, it was 2:30, but it was so dark that I thought I overslept, and I freaked out. So I get up and I get dressed, and I'm like freaking out. Oh my God, I'm late to work, and I open my front door and poof, the sun. It was only 2:30 in the afternoon. So later on that day, I went and bought me a big clock that had a big old AM PM on there so that I can distinguish what time it was. Little bit of a history on my working the graveyard shift. Yeah, I work mixed shifts. I'm the boss, so I come in at all different hours, more working grave a lot, more often than the last couple of weeks. Grave is definitely tough. Yeah, it is. If you don't mind me asking, if I'm prying too much, forgive me, but what kind of company do you own and what do you do? Interesting to know. What kind of company do you own? And it's nice to be your own boss. But I think sometimes being your own boss can be difficult too because your expectations can be kind of high. Excuse me. Been not more working graveyard. Been not more. You might have to clarify this last statement a little bit more for me to get a better understanding of what you mean. Yeah, that's tough, especially when I put foil paper on my windows, and it was the foil paper kept the sun from coming in, so my room was pitch dark, and I had a towel on the bottom of my door, so that room was dark. And like I said, it was about 2:30, I think, and I started at 11, so I thought I was late, and I overslept. When I opened the front door, I realized that it was only 2:30 in the afternoon, so I went back to sleep. But that is definitely something that I experienced in the early stages of working graveyard. I liked it. I was young. I was in my 20s. I was in my middle 20s, kind of maybe going towards my late 30s. I mean, excuse me, my late 20s, early 30s. I'm trying to figure out what year it was. 93, I would have been. No, no, I wouldn't. I was in my early 20s, not late 20s, early 20s. So, when you're young, your body can take, changes like that. Now, at my age, I'm 52. Yeah, no. I couldn't do or put my body what I put when I was in my 20s. That's for sure. Okay, casino. Oh, right on. Right on. Cool. So there a lot of gambling going on at this hour? I'm pretty sure that I'm not a gambler, so me and my wife, we really don't go. Matter of fact, I was just talking to my wife, and I mentioned to her about wanting to go to a casino and gamble, probably the pennies. But we're not. My brother, on the other hand, that guy never leaves the casinos. I'm not a big casino guy, but I can imagine there's quite a few people there too, huh? I'm definitely too old for this. I hear you, girl. I hear you. It's funny, huh? When you're in your early 20s, you feel invincible. You feel like you can do anything you want. Nothing bothers you. Your bones don't hurt. At least for me, my bones didn't hurt. I can do whatever. I'm in my early 50s, 52, and now it's like, oh my God, every freaking bone hurts. So it's kind of like my body's giving me payback for abusing it when I was young. Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. Yeah. You live in Vegas. Definitely, I can imagine. I never been to Vegas. My wife gets a kick out of that. I'm 52, born and raised in San Jose, California. I'm not that far from Vegas. Probably maybe 10 hours, 11 hours away by car, an hour and 40 minutes, probably by airplane. And I've never been to Vegas in my life. Yep. I've been to Reno a lot, but never to Vegas. And everybody tells me that Reno is the poor man's casino compared to Vegas. One of these days, I was hoping to go to the NFL draft a few years ago when they had it in Vegas, but they canceled it. Now they're going to have it there this year, but with the whole COVID and everything, and I'm not vaccinated, so I am not taking my chances, unfortunately. But we'll see what happens. Maybe one of these chances I get to go to Vegas and check it out to see how it is. But how long have you been working at the casinos, if you don't mind me asking? How long have you been working at the casinos? Just out of curiosity. But, you know, getting back a little bit while you answer that, if you like, getting back to the priority of the Niners is going to be to re-sign. Particularly to me, I like DJ Jones and Arden Key, but I think signing Lincoln Tomlinson will be priority, should be priority. That's just my opinion. I don't know how you feel or anybody else, but I feel that signing Lincoln Tomlinson should be a priority first, then DJ Jones. Oh, no, excuse me. Lincoln Tomlinson, Arden Key, then DJ Jones. Hopefully all three. But your thoughts on who should be signed first of those three? Or who would you like the Niners to sign back if they can't sign all three of them back? I've been working here since 2006. Oh, okay. Oh, wow. So you've been there for a minute. Interesting. So I can imagine you have a lot of stories that we probably not going to talk about right now, but I can only imagine how many stories you can share of what you have seen take place working at a casino. I can only imagine the craziness you probably had to deal with people at the casino. Probably people winning, people losing. I can only imagine how crazy it would get working at a casino, especially the graveyard shift. Or is Vegas more active during the day? You would assume that things are active at night, but are the nights more active in the weekends, or because it's Vegas, it's like that every day, or is it more active during the day? I imagine at night it's better, it's cooler. Although I heard Vegas never gets cool anyway, it's always hot. Like I said, I've never been to Vegas, so I've been to Arizona and Tucson, Arizona, and it gets hot there. And then I've been also to Tucson and where the Cardinals used to be. Not where they're at now. Was it Glendale, I think? Interesting. Really? Interesting. Because, I mean, right now at right tackle, we have Brunskill. And we were hoping to put Aaron Banks there. Now, I don't remember. Is Aaron Banks naturally a left tackle or a right tackle coming out of college? That I don't remember at this particular moment. I still wouldn't want to lose Lincoln Tomlinson, although I wouldn't be willing to pay 10 to 15 million per year for him. I think that will be something that maybe he goes to Miami with what's his name? That went over to Miami as head coach and follows him. Can't think of his name. I kind of threw a blank. Vegas is most active during swing hours, but it's usually always pretty busy. I have a great stories, I imagine. Thinking to write a book when oh, wow, okay. Well, I hope I stay in contact, at least obviously through social media. If you ever decide to write a book, I would be interested in getting a copy, just to kind of pick your brain in the book of all the craziness you probably saw during your duration at in Vegas. But I can only imagine you have some crazy stories. Oh, he was a left tackle. Okay. So he's a tackle. They tried to make him a guard. See, now that I think about it, I think he was I think he no now I if I think about it, I believe he was a left guard next to Mike McClinchy, because they both came out of Notre Dame, and I believe Mike McClinchy played as left tackle in college, and therefore Aaron Banks was the left guard. So I believe it was guard, not tackle, now that I recall a little bit. So, all right. So his natural position is left guard. Okay. Well, now I can see why you made the statement that if Aaron Banks is the replacement, and that could be the reason why they drafted him, because they knew that Lincoln Tomlinson was going to be up for a contract in this offseason, and they were preparing themselves for the situation in case they lose him, that they have someone they can replace him with. So great way to think ahead. But I still would love to bring back Lincoln Tomlinson back and allow Aaron Banks to continue to develop. Yeah, he definitely was a left guard, because I remember him playing alongside Mike McGlinchey in Mike McGlinchey's last year. I believe he played next to McGlinchey in McGlinchey's senior year at Notre Dame. And a lot of people don't remember, but Mike McGlinchey was a left tackle that was moved to right tackle when he came to San Francisco, because we had Joe Staley already at left. So now that I recall, I'm almost 99.9% sure that Aaron Banks was definitely a right guard next to Mike McGlinchey, left tackle in Notre Dame, for that, at least that year that Mike McGlinchey was there. But I really didn't follow Aaron Banks all that much, so I don't really know what his that position was. But nevertheless, I would love to bring back Lincoln Tomlinson for the right price. I know that the Miami Dolphins have a lot of salary cap. I think they're at $63 million. They have a lot of money, and they definitely need help offensively. Their offensive line is atrocious. So could Mike McDaniel overpay for the services of Lincoln Tomlinson? Possibly. So that could be a reason why the Niners lose him. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully he plays very well. He's very complimentary to Big Boy Trent on the left side. So hopefully we can bring him back for another year or two. Probably about the $8 to $9 million a year would be, I think, really good. But we would have to see. But I think Lincoln Tomlinson would be a priority in my opinion, and I think that DJ Jones and Arden Key should be right behind him on defense. I know a lot of Niner fans, they're talking about who are we going to bring in free agency, but I think our priority should be on bringing back our own, and then we can focus on possibly going after a free agent, whether it's secondary or maybe they bring a guard. I don't know. Now, do you think they bring back Mike McGlinchey, or do you think they go with Tom Compton for another year? I don't know, man. I don't know. That's scary. Tom Compton, for the most part, did okay, but he's not a great right tackle, to say the least. So I would be concerned if we get rid of Mike McGlinchey. I doubt it. Mike McGlinchey is not, he's not the best right tackle, but he's not the worst. A lot of people give him a hard time. I know he's not great in the pass protection. He's better in the run protection, but he's been, if I'm not mistaken, the top 15 or top 10 right tackle according to PFF. So before in 2020 and a little bit before he got hurt in 2021. So bringing back Mike McGlinchey will be something that we need to do as well. He's I think he's in the 5th year option, if I'm not mistaken. or did he finish his 5th year this year? And we would have to bring him back for the. I gotta look into it. But anyway, I wanted to see who was going to be up, and I got the honor to meet or talk to Niner Faithfully. I love the name, by the way. Thank you for playing for the jersey the other day. Your name was definitely written in the Ducks. I don't know if you saw the Duck race or not, but your name was definitely on there for the opportunity to win that jersey. Someone else won it, but I like to give away stuff. So, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you have your own podcast. Now, I may be confusing you with someone else, and if I am, I apologize. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, you have your own podcast with a gentleman on your podcast, and I believe I'm following it, if it's indeed you. And if it is, great job. Continue to build it up. And if it isn't, my apologies. I'm going to blame it on being an old fart and not remembering anything. But anyway, I'm going to get off this. I just wanted to see who was going to be up at this hour. It is about 1:35 a.m., so I'm going to shut things down. But if it is you that have the podcast, I would love to invite you onto my podcast and as a guest. I would love to have you on my podcast as a guest, you and your co-host if you want, or just you, or both of you. I would love to have in my podcast in the near future to talk a little bit about free agency and the draft. If you would be interested, please let me know. Okay. So it is you with your podcast. And I believe you have a co-host, right? You're welcome. So yeah, let me know. You can send me an email if you like at ninersicknesspodcast@yahoo.com. ninersicknesspodcast@yahoo.com. Let me know if you would be interested in coming on my show yourself, you and your coworker, the both of you, or maybe just him or you. I would love to have either one of you or both of you on a future show on mine to talk a little bit about free agency and the draft. Please let me know by email if you would be interested. If not, it is okay. But anyway, I'm going to get off of here. It is late. I'm going to call it a night. Thank you guys for watching. For those who are going to be watching this on the replay, enjoy the live. Have a wonderful, blessed night. And I'll see you guys on the next show. Peace.